What's up everybody, Jeff Ballot with the Old Town Fishing Team. We're going to go over how to pick out your first fishing kayak if you're just getting into the sport. Alright, so there's a lot of factors to consider, but I'm going to break it down to my top six or six things you really need to think about. But I'm going to qualify it first by talking about the two types of kayaks. There's sit-in and sit-on-top kayaks. For the purposes of this and for kayak fishing in general, I'm just going to eliminate the sit-inside kayaks and we're going to talk about sit-on-tops. If you fish from a sit-inside, there's nothing wrong with that. You can catch plenty of fish. When it comes to kayak fishing, I think sit-on-top kayaks are the standard. So the first thing you need to consider is the type of water you're going to be fishing. You know, kayak fishing is unique in the fact that you can take that boat from a small stream in the mountains all the way to the Gulf of Mexico or out on the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans. The type of water that you can fish is basically unlimited in a kayak. But before you purchase your first one, you're going to want to consider where you're going to spend the most of your time, or maybe all of your time. That'll help you make a better decision and more informed decision on what you need to get and how much you need to spend. If you're a small body of water fisherman fishing small creeks and streams or ponds, maybe a local lake in your neighborhood, or small lake or pond, you need to think about something small like a Sportsman 106 or a Sportsman 106 PDL, maybe even a Discovery Solo Sportsman, kind of a hybrid canoe kayak option, because you don't need to dive in with a giant, hard to move kayak that's made for the big water if you're planning on just fishing smaller stuff around your area. Now, on the flip side of that, if you live on the coast or you live near a big lake and you're going to be out there fishing, where there's a lot of wind, choppy water, waves, current, whatever the case may be, then you need to look at a longer, wider option, different hull designs to be able to handle that big water before you make your purchase. So leading off of that, number two, you need to think about your budget. Of course, once you decide where you're going to fish most of the time as far as the type of water, that really doesn't matter if you only have X amount of dollars to spend. So you need to figure out your budget and then look accordingly. In the Old Town lineup, the Sportsman lineup, prices range from down near $800 all the way up to $3,700, so it covers the gamut. So you need to set your budget first and go looking for something that'll fit your needs and fit within that, so you don't break the bank trying to get into this fun sport. Another thing you need to consider is speed versus stability. What's more important to you? Of course, you can get a boat that has a little bit of both, but that goes back to what kind of water you're going to be fishing. If you're going to be fishing small water, speed and covering water is not going to be an issue for you. If you're going to be fishing big water, a lot water with current, water where you're going to need to cover a lot of ground to get your fishing spots in a day, then speed may be something you need to factor in. Stability, you want to be secure in the water. You want to know that you don't have to worry about tipping that thing over because you turned the wrong way. So stability is important. And like I said, in the Old Town lineup, the Sportsman 106 all the way up through the Sportsman Big Water PDL and in the autopilot motorized versions that we'll talk about in a little bit. Stability is not an issue, but you can certainly switch between them to get a little more speed with some of the options depending on the hull design. So you need to figure out which one is more important to you. All right, fourth, portability. How are you going to transport this thing around? Where are you going to take it? If you have a small vehicle, small car, and you're going to car top it, you certainly don't want to get the longest, biggest, heaviest boat to put up there. So think about how you're going to transport it to and from your house to the water. Also, once you get to the water, how are you going to get it from the vehicle to the water? Even if you trailer it or put it in the back of a truck, you may be planning to portage that boat back into a small creek or to a small access point on the lake, and you're going to need something that you can throw on your shoulder and carry. Something like the Discovery Solo fits that bill. Maybe a Sportsman 106, if you put it on some wheels, you can get it back there, but you need to think about the portability of it and how you're going to get that thing around. All right, next, and this is a big one, there's so many options now. It used to be you had to decide between what kind of paddle you were going to get. Then it was, a paddle powered kayak or a pedal powered kayak, and now you've got another option, which is motorized kayaks. You got to decide what you're going to do. Do you want to paddle, motor? Do you want two out of the three? You have a lot of options there. With the Old Town lineup, the Sportsman lineup, there's several great paddle options. I already talked about the Discovery Solo, the Sportsman 106, the Sportsman 120, the big water. All of those boats you can paddle, and they fit different needs for you. Then you have the Sportsman 106 PDL, the Sportsman 120 PDL, in the Big Water 132 PDL, along with the Big Salty, which is more of an open water boat with a little more speed to it. As you go from paddle to motor, you're also going to increase in price. Lastly, you know, Old Town offers the Sportsman MK and then the Sportsman Autopilot 120 and 136, both motorized options that are pre-wired, everything ready to go, plug and play motorized kayak options. Good thing about the pedal and motor kayaks that Old Town offers is you can pull the pedal drive and the motor drive, cap that hole off, and use it as a paddle craft as well. On the paddle kayaks in the lineup, you can install an aftermarket motor, but me, I prefer plug and play. That's why I like the Autopilot and MK that Old Town offers, because it's ready to go right out of the box. All right, next, weight capacity and storage. How big are you? How big a person are you? How much will that boat hold, and how much do you plan on carrying with you? Even if you're a small person, you may be a tackle hoarder like me. I don't know if you can see my vehicle back there, but it's loaded with rods, reels, and tackle for a tournament I'm going to here soon. So you definitely need to consider what you're going to carry with you and how that boat's going to fit you for what size person you are. So a few things that didn't make the top 6, but hit the honorable mentions for sure, and that is, how easy is it to mount accessories to that kayak? Does it have, all the Old Town boats have rails already pre-installed, but does the kayak have rails where you can mount track mount options? Are there pre-tapped areas for wiring your electronics? How easy is it going to be for you to add all the things you want to add to your boat once you get it? And another honorable mention is, what kind of fisherman are you going to be? Are you going to fish tournaments, or are you just going to casual fish? Are you going to start out casual recreational fishing and then maybe get into tournaments later? Because if you're going to be in tournaments, you really need to consider the pedal and motorized options. Of course, you can enter them with a paddle craft, but you're going to be way ahead of the game if you jump into a pedal or motorized kayak for tournament fishing. So there you go, guys. There's some tips to help you pick out your first kayak. I hope you find the one that fits you perfect and get out there and start enjoying this great sport with the rest of us. It's a lot of fun. Thank y'all for watching.